Hey guys, we'll be studying a particular Bible verse, and this one is just to talk about those of you who are struggling with this. I know you're out there. I've spoken to several of you over time, and I went through this myself. Leaving the Trinity was hard. It was everything that I knew about Jesus. It was everything I knew about God. It was all my church friends, um, and not people who were necessarily friends, but fellow students. I viewed them as, and we would speak about things, and we'd agree with things and disagree about things. Um, but when and like I said, I can't really tell you. There was one day I think my belief broke. I do remember that day in the Trinity, and it was a very tough day, and I didn't understand. I didn't understand why, if I was really trying to find the truth and going to the best of my abilities to understand the nature of God and Jesus, why would I feel so abandoned? Um, and I think that's primarily the feeling of all of everything you know flipping over on your head. You know what I mean? It's to come out of a belief system of any type is hard, but especially one like this. I mean, we're not talking Republicans and Democrats and independents. We're talking the very thing you thought got you into heaven. I was always taught in church that the Jesus being God primarily is what got us into heaven. They paid lip service to spreading the word and everything, and good deeds and the like. But it really came down to the deity of Christ, and that's one thing I give the Jehovah's Witnesses. In this one particular area, I have a ton of respect for them, and people may not agree with them, and make fun of them. They do, but the bottom line is that door-to-door thing that they do in this day and age. It's a powerful thing. I mean, they're going door to door, preaching Christ to people. So I respect that, and I think that's a good thing. And if you're gonna sit in your church, and I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, by the way, so don't say that's what I'm saying, but to sit in church, that always bothered me. It's like, I'm in church, but I talk to people in my personal life, but I always felt like I should be doing more. I always felt like something was off, and I always felt like what I was being told was off. I may not be the brightest person in the world, but I usually can spot um, dishonesty after a while, and I noticed the more questions I started asking my preacher, the more evasive the answers became. So it led me up to that point where I kind of broke. I couldn't. It wasn't even that it was confusing. It was the simple fact that I lost my Jesus. That's how I felt. I lost that thing I had known for years, and it was hard. And to you guys who are going through that right now, I mean, for some of you guys, it's gonna be nothing. Some of you guys really don't believe in the Trinity anyway. You just go along with it because your church says so. Well, for those who were like me, who actually believed in the Trinity and thought it was important to believe in the Trinity, it hurts. I'm gonna tell you right now, it hurts. And I was numb. I remember for 3 or 4 days, I walked around at work and I was just out of it. And I didn't know what to do. I reached out to some people and they gave me, they were good answers, but they didn't make me feel any better. And it came down to me simply praying at one point. I said, God, I won't give up if you won't give up on me. And slowly things got better. And I rebuilt my belief. I started to understand. And I will say, in all honesty, going through that was probably the best thing that happened to me that I can recall. As terrified as I was, I think it shed a little light on those decisions, how people felt in the scriptures. I found like Habakkuk. I was like, how long is this going to go on? How long is, why do all these people say these things and get away with the stuff that they do? And when I look at where I'm at today, I feel so much better that I don't have to make these stretches anymore to try and explain what I believe. It's very straightforward. And I believe in the same God that Jesus believed in, and that was his Father. He told us who to pray to. But to you guys that are on this fence, the only people who were telling me to be afraid were men. They were church people. And they told me I was going to go to hell, told me I was playing with heresy. And it was funny. They were all fine and answering and playing my game until it really started getting serious. And these questions, I started demanding answers. I started to tell them that, that's not an answer. That just sounds like you making up something as we go along. And, it's them who told me to be afraid. But, as I looked in the scriptures, it it became clear that the people who are afraid are the people who don't want to know. So I had to lose that fear. I had to let go of what people thought about me. I had to let go of thinking that, I didn't fit in anymore. And, that didn't stop me, but it was a disturbing feeling to say you don't fit in. You don't fit in church anymore. And, I've developed some very different views about church than I had before. But to you guys that are struggling, stay the course. Jesus said, knock and it will be open. And I think that's what God was waiting on me to do. I was talking the talk, but I think he was waiting to see if I was going to walk the walk. And it has changed me more than anything in my former Christian life, from baptisms and all this other stuff. It made me realize the level of accountability we had. It made me realize that there was no easy out. There was no just chalking it up to, God. Jesus is God, so, I'm not too worried about it. Seeing him as a man, as a mere man, as they like to say, it made me understand that this is on me now. And, I'm not a Calvinist, so I don't have that card to hide behind. I can't say, well, God made me this way. I think gives us all an opportunity. I don't know how he judges, Trinitarians and Jehovah Witnesses, and I don't know how any of that works. That's God's business. But I do know God doesn't want us to be afraid of the truth. And I started to realize the only people who were making me afraid were the people who were around me. It wasn't coming from the Bible. It wasn't coming from praying. It wasn't coming from, it made me desperate. I started to really be scared of just this whole God thing, and I kept telling myself, I need to put the Bible down. I need to walk away from it and clear my head. But I just kept studying and I kept praying, and it finally started to come to me. And the peace I have now is I'm not looking for the next miracle. I'm not looking for the next thing God can do for me. I'm looking at how I can shape myself to be the most adequate vessel. Because I understand now, it's like the stakes are so much higher than the Trinitarian proposes, and to be a lamp to the world, we have to be vessels for that. And the human Jesus, it's my understanding of the world is just so different now. And it comes down to that core belief because I think I understand more about the Spirit of the Father and the Spirit that Jesus represents. And it's too long to mention the number of ways my outlook on the world has changed. And I will not always be right. I don't claim to be. But the evidence It's clear. And to you guys who are struggling and coming over, and some of you, I think I know how some of you feel. You basically have lost that belief already. You've already lost the Trinitarian belief, but you hold on to it because it makes sense of your life. Mentally it's got so many problems, but it makes sense of your life right now. But I would say to you, stay the course. Study the truth. If you study all this and you remain a Trinitarian, that's fine. That's between you and God. But to you guys who are already feel the Trinity slipping through your fingers because it's a greasy, three-headed serpent that you just can't be held on to, it's okay. Bad things have to be removed, and it's like cancer. I believe in natural treatments for things whenever possible, but if you got one that has to be surgically removed, you have to take it out your body, and you're not going to get better. So let God do that. Let God remove that from you. And there will be a void at first. There will be a scariness to it because you've basically reset the clock to zero and it's time to choose. And stay studying and don't be afraid of God. If you love God, you shouldn't be afraid of Him in that sense. Carry on. None of my former church friends will even talk to me now. They'll call me if they need to buy a car, oddly enough, but they won't speak to me anymore. And, it's sad because I will always help them. I will always do whatever I can for them. But I'm not compromising anymore. I'm not taking prisoners anymore. Let the dead beliefs lay where the dead beliefs should lay. And to hell with everything else. I mean, it's helped even my marriage and everything. It's just changed the dynamic of me. And that's a peaceful thing. So stay the course. No matter how hard it seems, no matter how dark it gets, when it's time, He'll show you the way. Just remember, His time is not our time, and it's because we don't know no better. So if you struggle with this, hang in there, guys. I'm praying for you all the time. I pray for everyone. And don't be afraid of men. Don't be afraid of churches. Don't be afraid of the big booming, big haired evangelical preacher with the big glasses. Those people, I'm not even going to talk about them. Don't be afraid. Cling to God. God will not leave someone behind that wants to know the truth. And you will go through stormy times. Jesus sweated blood in the garden. Paul was shipwrecked. Peter, they say, was crucified upside down. John was exiled. That you're going to go through times because you're trying to find the truth. And people will move heaven, earth, and hell, so-called, to stop you from finding it. They hate it because they lose control of you. They lose control. The fear's gone. You still fear God, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. The fear of them is gone. I could care less what people say about me. And it's not because I'm arrogant. It's because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As long as Jesus will bear witness to me and the Father will bear witness to me, that's all that matters. And I will do everything in my power, and you should. You should go through it. Go through the fire. Because when you come out on the other side, that garbage that you've been dragging around all this time is going to be gone. It's going to be left behind where it needs to be, and you can move forward with the truth. So hang in there. I'm praying for you. The angels are rejoicing over you. Jesus is rejoicing over you. Go after the truth. Knock on the door. No matter what they say, keep knocking. And when you only fear God and no longer fear them, you'll be free to walk in spirit and truth. The church isn't a building. The church isn't any one person. It's the people who are willing to be in the community of the kingdom. And when Jesus comes and rules over the church, we'll have churches like we should. Right now, quite frankly, we don't. So hang in there. It's worth it to get to the other side. Take your time. You don't have to know all this right now. Study and don't be afraid. Not of men. Don't ever be afraid of men. God bless you.